Hello, everybody. Craig Wessels here from a Yank on the Footy, and welcome to episode 348. I am going to be jumping into round 24 and previewing round 24. Teams have not been released. I'm recording this on Tuesday evening here in the United States. Um, I do hope you'll head over to my podcast website, ayankonthefooty.com, and get on the mailing list. And if you enjoy the podcast, I hope you'll leave a great review over there as well. But let's be honest, you haven't heard it for a couple of weeks because, well, I just got to put it out there, folks. I've been feeling a little sorry for myself lately, so I not, you know, to the point where, there's things that I have to be concerned about. I'm just dog ass tired. I can't put it any other way. As many of you know, I'm 61 years old. I'm not exactly a spring chicken, and I've been spending the summer working a job at the local amusement park where I've been while I'm there 5 days a week, I'm walking anywhere between 12 to 15, 18 kilometers a day. Average that out with the couple of days off that I'm off each week, and it drops it back down to about 10 kilometers per day, while I'm emptying trash cans and carrying things all over. So I'm getting a hell of a workout. I love doing what I'm doing in the summer, but it has taken its toll, not necessarily on me physically this year, a little bit emotionally, um, but then also just in terms of being able to be cogent and doing things that I want to be doing away from that particular job. Um, as many of you know, I was supposed to visit Australia this year for the first time. Um, when the fixture had come out, I had mapped it out to where I was going to be there for rounds 17 through 19, possibly 17 through 20. I was hoping 20 because I was wanting to get to Tasmania to see the Cats play North Melbourne. Um, but I did not end up going this year. And that's one of the reasons why I've been feeling a little shitty, quite frankly, a little down, feeling sorry for myself, if you will. Um, but I've been working my ass off, to be completely honest with you. And I'm a school teacher, so we have approximately a 10-week summer break, because we're in the northern hemisphere. And I I averaged, and again, and for those of you who work more hours than this, you can tell me to suck it up, Buttercup. Okay, I get it, but again, for somebody my age who's doing a job that people half or arguably even a third my age should probably be doing it, and doing it at a fairly good clip. Yes, it's hard to not be able to empty trash cans and do that sort of thing as well, but I work my butt off. I hustle a lot. And I make decent money doing it. And this money's getting set aside for the trip. And that's one of the nice things about this is that I have been able to set some extra money aside for coming next year, which is now the plan. Um, and again, yeah, I'm watching things go on during round 17 through 20. And, I'm realizing that I would have been able to see the Cats play the Pies at the MCG. I would have seen the Bulldogs kick their butt down at Cardenia Park, unfortunately. Um, but like I said, I've just been feeling sorry for myself because I'm missing out on these things. And again, the reason I ended up postponing the trip, for those of you who may not know, is I ended up having surgery that I thought was going to be much more significant than it turned out to be back in May. Um, Turned out I had a hernia, full disclosure, and that's been repaired. And the doctor did a phenomenal job because I have not had any kind of setbacks at all at this job that's requiring me to do lifting and carrying of, anywhere between, 10 to 20 to 25 kilogram bags of trash, throwing them into a ute, if you will. Also walking them across long distances because I'm not able to get the vehicle close enough to those cans in order to, allow me to um, dispose of them much more readily. So I decided to push the trip back for one year because of this. Because again, I wasn't sure how severe this issue was going to be, and it turned out to be not as bad as I thought. So knock on wood, that's a good thing. Um, but I got an email last week from a listener who I trade emails with quite a bit, and he asked me. He said, "Am I still on your mailing list? Because I've not received an email from you." And what was funny about this is because I had been thinking to myself, I know I did not do previews for the previous two rounds, and I've just been exhausted because I get home at about midnight and I take a shower because I smell horribly, quite frankly, and I'll have something to eat, and I just cannot get my brain in gear to want to do um, what I need to do with regards to the podcast. Now, I've also not been doing any of it with regards to um, my actual job as a school teacher, and we went back to school. We went back to work yesterday, so I worked through Friday at the amusement park. Had Saturday and Sunday off that I was doing a lot of computer stuff that required courses that I have to take every year just to kind of refresher things, that in terms of like health issues and such with students, things of that nature, safety issues, that sort of thing around schools. It's required things that I have to do before the school year. I had not done those yet, so I had to plow through those on Saturday and Sunday of this weekend. So I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be for the school year. The students come back on Thursday. I have a day tomorrow where I will be able to work in my classroom on whatever I need to work on. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very excited about that. But I did assure this listener, this mate that emailed me, no, you're on the mailing list. I just had not had any reason to email anyone. And I had been thinking that I need to send one out and kind of apologize to the people who've subscribed to the mailing list that, yeah, I kind of dropped a ball here. And I want to apologize to all of you because I know that, there's a lot of competition for podcasts and things that you can watch and things that you can listen to. And for those of you who have listened to the podcast for a long time and have checked it out and enjoy it and have given me feedback, I cannot thank you enough. And I understand that over the last few weeks, you may have thought, okay, where the hell did he go? And maybe it's time I look for another avenue. And I certainly cannot begrudge you doing that because I've not been there to provide you with hopefully the fun content that I try to provide to you, giving you my take on things. I'm not going to say my insight because what the hell do I know? Um, but I guess I do have two interviews that are in the can that I need to finish editing and do the intros for. And I will let you know one of those is a previous guest, Rob DeSantos, who is one of the founders of the Australian Football Association of North America, afana.com. They do a phenomenal job. They're getting ready to revamp what they do on their website, and they've got some really, really good things going on over there. And I also did an interview. I was able to actually sit down for an interview, and I did this. This was an interesting one. I got home from work on a Monday night got to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I did this interview at 5:30 the following morning. And this was with a gentleman by the name of John Klug, who was part of the original Adelaide Crows team the first 2 years with the Crows. And he is also a member of the Tasmanian Sport Hall of Fame. Great discussion with Mr. Klug. I cannot wait to share that one with you. Again, a big shout out to my mate Mick Aussie, Kim Harrison, for helping to set that one up. Man, I do appreciate that, Mick. I cannot thank you enough for that one. So I've not just been blowing this off. I've not been sitting here going, well, I don't care about the podcast. I have all these ideas that are going on, these things that I want to do. I told you a few episodes back that I was wanting to do a couple of episodes where I kind of recapped my favorite's not the right word, but it might be the word that I use, like my 15 favorite or most important, most enjoyable interview, whatever, like 15 interviews that I think are worth giving a listen to if you had not checked them out as of yet. And I have that list created. I've just not been able to sit down and actually put pen to paper, voice to recording, if you will, for that episode. And I was kind of doing that in commemoration with the 400th episode of the podcast. And I know this one's is numbered 348. But again, there's a lot of live episodes that I did. Um, and that's another frustrating thing. I love the Podbean app, which is who I run my podcast through, but the live app, and I would love to do some more live episodes. It's not been working well for me over the last couple of years, quite frankly. So I've gotten away from doing the live episodes, which I really, really enjoyed doing. I loved getting guests on, people who love listening to podcasts on, coming in and sharing their views. It's the reason why I went with this app when I started out the podcast back in 2019. Um, so I have not gone away. I'm here. I've got 2 episodes, 2 interviews that are done. I'm going to bring those to you soon. I do plan on conducting interviews and such during the off season as well, because I really, really enjoy that. But I'm still working, again, teaching 5 days a week. And I'm also going to be working 1 or 2 days on the weekends at the amusement park until it closes down in early November. So for those of you that know anything about American holidays, we have Thanksgiving, which shows up like the third or fourth week of on a Thursday in November. I think that's about the time that I'll be able to get about an 8-hour night's sleep at that point in time, just as I'm getting ready to take my students to Model United Nations in our state capital in early December. So I got a few things going on, and it's not an excuse. But I do want to apologize to those of you who have, listened to the podcast for a long time. I haven't forgotten about you. I haven't forgotten about the show. I still love doing this. I've just been, I've been overwhelmed. And it's not that I needed a break from the podcast. I needed to get some sleep, and I needed to get myself refocused. And, things are ramping up at school, but I'm going to work my butt off to try to fit everything in. Uh, as we go along. And I did see the tragic news today about the passing of Sam Landsberger. Yeah, I absolutely enjoy. I've enjoyed reading his work on Code Sports. Yeah, I spend more time reading everything that I could find on the Code Sports website about footy and even a lot of cricket now as well, more so than I do any American sports. Okay, I'm that committed. I made that jump and subscribed to Code Sports a couple of years ago, and absolutely love it. I do want to pass along my condolences to Sam's family and friends. It's just absolutely tragic. Um, he just did, terrific work promoting this game and sharing his take on the games. And he's definitely going to be missed. He's definitely going to be missed. Now, we do have 9 games to close out the round. Um, it's going to be interesting, and I did jot down. Again, I don't know the teams as of yet. I did jot down who I've got winning and by what margin. I've got Melbourne and Collingwood playing. What's going to happen with Melbourne? What went on in Petrarca's meeting this week? Has he, I guess you could say it's a clash, and he's going, should I stay or should I go now? But again, who can afford to bring him in? I think any club, if they had the picks and they had the salary cap space, would love to bring a player of his caliber in. Now, what are the long-term effects of his injury going to be? Will he be making a full recovery? Is he going to be ready to go round 1 of next year and be the Christian Petrarca that we know and love? And again, I know he's signed for several more years. I have no idea if he's going anywhere or if he's asked to go anywhere. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, I do think the Pies are going to win this one by 17, but I think it's going to be too little too late. Okay. I do not have the Pies making it into the finals. So, Cat supporters from 2023, you're off the hook. You're probably not going to be the most recent premiers to miss finals in the subsequent season. Okay. So we've got that going for us. So I got the Pies winning by 17. Now, the Cats host West Coast. Theoretically, if the Cats absolutely obliterate them, uh, we might see where they could possibly jump up the ladder even more. But I don't know if that's going to be, are they going to be able to jump far enough? They're probably not going to get into the number 2 spot. They blew that with St. Kilda last week. And I got to be honest with you, I put it out on X. I tipped my cap to St. Kilda. They came out and played a phenomenal second half, and they just took the Cats to the sword. They earned that victory. And as a Saint supporter, you look at it and you go, son of a bitch, this is what we should have been doing all year. Because again, I tipped the Saints to be playing finals this year. Of course, I tipped the Crows to be playing finals this year as well. Got those wrong. But I got the Cats winning this one by 40. I think that they are able to capitalize at home. You know, the Eagles are ready to wrap up the year. You've got players who are not going to be back with this club. You wonder who they're even going to be playing. Who's going to be, lining up for them? Are they going to be playing some youngsters to blood them a little bit just to see what they've got going for them going into next year? Is this somebody who we should consider, possibly in the mix to get some games with this next year at the highest level if you're an Eagles supporter? And we got Richmond hosting Gold Coast. And you go back to the start of the season, you thought, man, fixture makers, you did something wonderful here. Yeah, it's going to be the first time that Gold Coast is going to be playing finals, and Dimma's going to get to go to the MCG, and his club's going to go ahead and knock off his former club and head on into the finals for the first time, and everything's going to be hunky dory, and the Gold Coast Suns fans are going to celebrate, and Dimma's going to, be able to look over at his former team and go, "Yep, guys, we went ahead and beat you." Well, guess what? The best laid plans of mice and men did not happen. In fact, I'm tipping the Tigers to knock off the Suns this weekend. I think the Tigers, well, I don't necessarily think there's any love lost between the remaining Tigers players and Dimma. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think those are who are still there, and there are going to be some who are probably going to be leaving or playing their last game in the black and yellow. If they haven't already, if they end up sitting right now and don't play at all. I just think that the Tigers are going to find a way, despite their massive injury list, to just squeak by. I've got the Tigers winning this one by 7. Okay, so Demma, sorry about this. You're only going to get one road win this year. You're not getting your second against your former club. And we've got Hawthorn then facing off against North Melbourne. And I've got Hawthorn winning this one by about 4.5 goals. I think North Melbourne is going to be competitive. They're going to play hard. You've still got youngsters who are trying to find their way. And I've kind of alluded to this a little bit. I just think that North Melbourne, and again, there's some pieces we have to figure out who's going to be back this year, in this next year. Is LDU coming back? I don't think he's re-signed yet, if I'm not mistaken. But there've been a couple people who have re-signed. What's going to happen with their upcoming draft? I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked. And again, I'm not saying that North Melbourne's playing finals next year, but I would not be shocked if North Melbourne moves several spots up the ladder next year. I think they're 17th right now. I think they could get up to 12th, 13th, maybe 11th. I don't think they're playing in the 8 next year, but I think they're going to be a club that people are going to go, okay, they are on the cusp. They're just about there, but not this year yet. Okay. I've got Hawthorn winning this one by quite a bit. Now we head to Brisbane for the Lions facing off against the Bombers. And again, the Bombers get to add another 365 days onto that total. I don't even remember what the number is at, but it's huge. Okay. It's huge. It's the lifetime of many of their players who are on their list. Now, I think this is an interesting game because again, Brisbane, they've battled back. They've got themselves in the 8. They're going to be in the 8. I think even if they were to lose, they would still be in the 8 if I'm looking at the ladder here. They're 13-8-1. Even if they lost, they'd be 13-9-1. I think they would still be in the 8 if they were to lose. So it would not shock me in the least if Essendon came out and squeaked out a win on the road. But I'm not tipping them. I'm tipping Brisbane to win this one. I've got Brisbane winning this one by 4 goals. Okay. I just think they're a much better side and they're going to get themselves primed and ready for that cutthroat final next week. And my tip for winning the premiership is still in the 8. And I would not be shocked if they figure out how to win themselves a premiership this year. I would not be shocked after the disastrous start. And again, you also got to go back and tip your cap to Hawthorn. And I know as a Cat supporter, I'm not supposed to like Hawthorn, but God bless it, they have been fun to watch this year. They've just got this we don't give a shit. We're going to go out and play our game. Yeah, they started out disastrously, 1-6 at the start of the year, and they've gone out and they've become a bit of a juggernaut. Okay, it's a shame about Will Day's injury. But again, I've got Brisbane winning this one by 4 goals. And then we got the Swans playing Adelaide. This is going to be an opportunity. I think if the Swans feel that there's some players that have some little niggles here and there that need to rest, I have a feeling we're going to see some of them sitting. Get some youngsters in there, get them some playing time. But I am going to still go with the Swans to win this one at home by 16 points. I think they've got enough to get it done, even if they sit a few players. Okay. And again, you look at the Crows, there's a lot of talent on that club. They just can't get out of their own way this year. Okay. So it's a shame about them though, because again, I had them, I think, sitting number 5 on the ladder this year. And then we got the Bulldogs facing off against the GWS Giants. And I would argue this is the game of the round right here. I would argue this is the game of the round. Okay. Both of them are likely to be playing finals. The Bulldogs have been, playing very well as of late. The SAM battle, the surface to air missile battle between Darcy and Taylor is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I'm going with the Bulldogs to win this one by 2.5 goals. I as a Cat supporter, I would love to have the Bulldogs beat GWS by 50 points. It's not going to happen. It could happen, of course. The Bulldogs have the capability of scoring a shit ton of points. They really do. I don't think GWS is going to let that happen, though. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Bulldogs get it done. Okay. And GWS, they're locked, I think, pretty much in the 4 as well. So they may decide to take an opportunity as well to rest a few players that might need it. Okay. So if they got a few folks that have some little injuries here and there, they may go ahead and take the time to say, we're going to let you rest this week. Does Jesse Hogan sit out? Does he have the Coleman already won if he doesn't play this week? I don't know. Do you put him in cotton floss? Do you put him in bubble wrap, if you will? And then we've got Carlton and St. Kilda. And again, as I mentioned, St. Kilda, I tip my cap to you for your win last week. And these last 2 games back to back are compelling. And again, the Saints, they could get back to within 1 game of being level. If they win, they finish 11-12. They lose, they're 10-13. This is a club that still needs, I think, another round of an infusion of talent, but they did what they needed to do last week against the Cats. And I think that I think depending upon who wins this game is in many ways going to determine the outcome of the game that follows it. Okay. Because again, if Carlton loses, that opens up the door for Fremantle to find themselves in the 8. Okay. But again, I'm going to use the start times here in the United States, at least in my time zone. So on the 25th of August at 1:20 a.m., Carlton and St. Kilda play. And then at 4:10 is the first bounce between Fremantle and Port Adelaide. So immediately after. So they're going to be coming out for warm-ups. Now, I think that, if St. Kilda wins this game, I think Fremantle is going to be just deflated. And I think Port Adelaide runs through them like a hot knife through butter. I really do. Now, again, I'm going with Port Adelaide to win this one by 17 points regardless. I think they're a better side right now. They're playing very well. But I guess I have to go back. I'm going with St. Kilda to knock off Carlton. Okay, but I think Carlton would still stay in the 8 if I'm not mistaken. Even though they lost, they would still be hanging on in the 8, several percentage points ahead of the Magpies. Okay, the Magpies would have to win by 150 points or so, I think, before this would, possibly allow them to get back in with those 2 draws if they were to beat Melbourne this weekend. So I'm going with St. Kilda to beat Carlton. I'm going with Port Adelaide to beat Fremantle, which brings us to the opening round of the finals this year. And the two qualifying finals would be Sydney hosting Geelong, Port Adelaide hosting GWS, and in the elimination finals, Brisbane hosting Carlton and the Western Bulldogs hosting Hawthorn. Now, I'm guessing they would put that one at the MCG right there. But you think about that though. First round, 4 games, only one of them being played at the MCG. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tip who I think is going to win right now or anything like that, but that's what I see happening this week, folks. Okay, I just think it's going to be a very, very interesting final week. Um, so there's round 24. Again, my apologies to you for not being with you for the last couple of weeks. There's only so many hours in the day, and I've been struggling to do the things that I want/need to do, because this is, doing the podcast is in many ways it's a need to do, but it's definitely a want to do. I want to provide you with hopefully some fun when you listen to it. Okay, I really do. Again, I'm never going to be so bold as to say that I know more than people who've been following the game for 20, 30, 40 years. I'm never going to be that person. Okay, I'm not naive enough to think that. All right, so I won't be doing that, but I love hearing from you. I love, you sharing with me when you think I'm wrong. And again, if you've got some great ideas for a guest on the podcast, please reach out to me at my email, ayankonthefooty@gmail.com, at yank_on X. You can also find a Yank on the Footy podcast over on Facebook, or Yank on the Footy on Instagram as well. You can find my name, Craig Wessels, on Facebook as well. You can give me a follow there. I've got, you'll notice the podcast logo is there. Okay, folks. Um, Again, I do hope you'll subscribe to the podcast. I hope you'll leave a review if you enjoyed it. I hope you'll share it with your friends and family. And I appreciate your patience if you've been waiting for this episode and subsequent ones. They are coming. I've got irons in the fire, and I can't thank you enough for all of the kind words. Make sure you reach out and talk to your friends if you've got to talk to someone. Um, I in many ways I did do this myself, not anybody professional, but I had a couple of coworkers who I'd been because I didn't see them at all during the summer because I'm working such strange hours. I hardly saw my wife this summer because she works the day shift and I was working nights, and I'm not getting out of bed until maybe 8 or 9 o'clock the next morning after she's gone to work. So I'm getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep. There were some days where I would get up early to see her before she headed off to work, just to, oh, you still live here, nice to see you. Um, but I had these 3 friends, a couple of them teach in my hallway, another one in the other part of the building. And I just had been telling them that I'd been feeling a little maudlin and that sort of thing. And for those of you who have been feeling like, those of you who are familiar with the film Office Space, I don't know, it came out, back 1999. It's got Ron Livingston in it. Gary Cole's in it. Jennifer Aniston is in it. Diedrich Bader, who was in the Drew Carey Show, which I don't know if that ever made it to Australia or not. But also an actor by the name of Stephen Root, who's played a lot of eccentric characters. But he played the character of Milton in this film, if you've seen it. John C. McKinley from Platoon was in this as well. And Milton had this beloved red swing line stapler. And for those of you who may have seen the film, Milton spoke in a very strange voice, and I believe you happen to have my red stapler. And he kind of talked a little nasally, that sort of thing. Well, it turns out if you've not seen the film, it's been out for a quarter century. So there's no spoilers here with this. Milton had been, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I discovered a couple of weeks ago that I'm going to be teaching an additional new course this year. I added a new course in that I've not taught before this past year. I'm adding another one in this year. So I was joking with them that I was beginning to feel a little bit like Milton. And, Milton, it turns out he'd been fired from his job like a decade earlier, but there was some sort of a glitch in their payroll system and they'd been giving him a paycheck. He'd still been getting paid. So he'd been coming to work doing God knows what. And they they fixed a glitch, so he wasn't going to get paid anymore. But then they kept moving his office, if you will, to different spots in the building and smaller, more confined spots. And they ended up putting him in um, this little small corner of the basement, the cellar, if you will, of the office complex that they worked in. And the whole story was about his red stapler. Well, one of these friends of mine dropped off a red stapler in my classroom because I'd been telling him I've been feeling a little bit like Milton because they've not moved my classroom, thank goodness, because I've got way too much shit in my classroom to move till I retire in a few years. Um, but they dropped off a red stapler for me, an exact, a swing line, fancy, heavy metal, not this kind of heavy metal, but a heavy, solid stapler. Um, and it was awesome. I was not expecting it, but and I don't know if it's anything that I necessarily need. I'm tearing up here a little bit right now, but it was just, I, it was just so damn awesome. And I figured out which one of them it was that did it, yesterday. So I was very appreciative of them. Um, and it was just a really cool thing. And I'm, it's not that I needed a new stapler, but the symbolism of this thing it was really appreciated. And, it was, it was just really cool and kind of made me feel a little appreciated or, hey, I see you, that kind of thing. It was, for those of you who are just listening, yeah, I'm tearing up a little bit. For those of you on YouTube, you're going, okay, come on, tough it up, man. But Ashley, thanks a bunch for that. That was absolutely awesome. And I'm going to grind through this new class. I mean, it's one that I think I'm going to enjoy. Well, as much as you can enjoy a course about the Holocaust, but it's, a lot of material with stuff that I shared with the teachers who originated this class about 20 years ago. So it's I'm teaching two sections of my government class this year, two class periods of world history, one class of the Holocaust class each semester of the year, and then my history through film class as well. So I've got a lot going on. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like I've got some terrific kids in my classes this year, and I'm looking forward to getting going on Thursday when I get to meet a lot of them. But it was a really cool thing that somebody did for me, and it was so truly appreciated, and I laughed, because I came in on Saturday, and actually, I came in. I found it Sunday. I didn't come in Saturday. I was at home working on stuff Saturday. I didn't leave the house on Saturday. I was so damn tired. But it's just awesome that this person chose to do this. So, it really, really was cool. So, folks, there's episode 348. Again, I've got a couple of interviews in the can. I'm going to work on getting those opening and closings recorded. I don't know if I'll get the video up onto YouTube or not, but I'll at least get the audio, and the static image for those so you can hear these interviews. Yeah, John Klug was a fascinating guy. Was a great player and had a catastrophic knee injury, which we'll talk about during the our discussion there. So, folks, again, I hope you'll share the podcast with your friends and family. And until next time, as always, may your dribble kick never hit the post. I will catch you later. And this has been episode 348. Cheers, everybody. Bye bye.